Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of 10 Minutes Daily Cafe Chat. It is Wednesday, January 7th. I am Emily.
And I am Lisa. Good morning. Happy hump day, everyone.
Happy hump day. We are climbing over the hill of the week. How are you feeling this morning, Lisa?
I am feeling awake, but a little frozen. I tried to do some stargazing last night because the sky was clear.
Oh, that sounds romantic. Did you see anything?
I saw about 2 stars before my fingers went numb. I forgot my coat, so it was mostly just freezing instead of gazing.
Well, at least you tried to connect with the cosmos. And freezing or not, looking up at the sky is a perfect start because today's menu is quite adventurous, featuring 3 unique stories.
Adventurous? Are we going on a trip?
We are. First, we really are going to space. NASA is preparing for a historic test.
Okay, space travel, check. What is next in these 3 stories?
Then, we come back to Earth for a fuzzy invasion. A British plush toy brand is taking over China.
An invasion of cute toys? I surrender. I totally surrender.
And finally, we are going to a rave. But here's the twist. There is absolutely no alcohol.
A dry rave? That sounds thirsty.
It's hydrating, actually. We'll explain why.
Space, toys, and water parties? It's a weird set of 3.
But a fun set. Before we launch, let's do our keyword quiz.
Got it. Hit me.
Today's keyword is buzz. B-U-Z-Z.
Buzz. Like a bee or like light year?
Neither, actually. It's related to our 3rd story about the party. Keep your ears open and see if you can catch how we use it.
Got it. Searching for the buzz. Let's go.
All right, first story. NASA could be weeks away from its biggest test in decades. We're talking about the Artemis II mission.
Artemis. I remember this name. It's the sister program to Apollo, right?
Precisely. Apollo took men to the moon. Artemis aims to take humans back, including the first woman and the first person of color.
About time. So are they launching next week?
Not launching yet, but they are preparing for something called the wet dress rehearsal.
Wet dress rehearsal? That sounds like a disaster at a wedding. Someone spilled wine on the bride?
It does sound messy, doesn't it? But in rocket science, wet refers to the fuel, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen.
Ah, so they fill up the tank.
Exactly. They roll the giant rocket out to the launch pad, load it with over 700,000 gallons of super cold propellant, and do a full countdown simulation.
They do everything except light the fuse.
Yes, they stop at T-minus 10 seconds. It's the ultimate test to see if all the pipes, valves, and software work together without actually blowing anything up.
That must be so tense. Imagine being the guy hovering over the abort button.
It's incredibly high stakes. If this goes well, the actual launch could happen later this year. 4 astronauts will fly around the moon.
Around it? Not landing?
No landing yet. This is a flyby mission. They will travel further into space than any human has since 1970.
Wow, how long is the trip?
About 10 days.
10 days, stuck in a capsule with 3 other people.
Yes, in a space of the size of a small van.
Emily, I love my friends, but if I was stuck in a van with them for 10 days, there would be murder. Someone would get pushed out of the airlock.
That's why you're a podcaster, Lisa, and not an astronaut. They're professionals.
I hope they bring good snacks.
This mission is crucial. It paves the way for Artemis III, which will land on the moon, and the ultimate goal? Mars.
Mars, the red planet. That feels like science fiction, but it's actually happening.
It is. This wet dress rehearsal is the final exam before the big show. History is being written right now.
It gives me goosebumps. I promise I won't complain about my commute today. At least I'm not strapped to a rocket.
From the cold vacuum of space, let's come back to Earth for something much softer. Moving on to the second story, how a British plush toy brand called Jellycat conquered China.
Yay! Jellycat! I told you, I have the broccoli one. His name is Brock.
Of course you named him. But you are not alone, Lisa. The news says Jellycat has become a massive cultural phenomenon in China, especially among young adults.
Not kids? Adults?
Primarily young adults, 20-somethings. They call the toys gaidi, or expensive substitute, basically an emotional support item.
Emotional support. I feel that. Sometimes the world is harsh, and you just need to hug a smiling croissant.
Exactly. Chinese social media is full of people taking their Jellycats to work, to cafes, treating them like real pets. There's even a term for it, guojiajia, playing house.
It is healing. It's cheaper than therapy.
Well, they aren't that cheap. Some cost nearly $100.
Okay, maybe not cheaper than therapy, but cuter.
What's really genius is their marketing. They have these immersive pop-up stores.
Immersive? Do you dress up as a plushie?
No. For example, in Shanghai, they opened a Jellycat cafe. When you buy a plushie cake, the staff acts like it's real food. What do you mean? They put on an apron, take your plushie, pretend to bake it, put it in a box with tongs, and serve it to you. They never break character. No way! That is adorable! And in London, they have a fish and chip shop. They pretend to fry the plushie cod. I want a plushie cod. I want it fried. That sounds so fun! It creates an experience. It allows adults to play and be silly for a few minutes. In a stressful world, that's valuable. It is. It's like permitted regression. We can be kids again without judgment. Precisely. And the designs are so random. They have plushy scallops, plushy bacteria, plushy potted plants. The randomness is why we love it. It's just pure, silly joy. And apparently that joy translates across all languages and cultures. Be right back. I'm going to buy a plushy espresso online. Hold that thought, Lisa. Speaking of espresso, our final story is about people swapping alcohol for coffee on the dance floor. Finally, for our third story, sober raves.
Okay, I've heard of dry January, but a whole rave without drinking? Isn't the point of a rave to lose yourself?
That's the old way of thinking. There's a growing movement, especially in Europe and the US, where young people are developing an aversion to alcohol.
An aversion? Like they hate it?
They hate the side effects, the hangovers, the memory loss, the anxiety or hangxiety the next day. They want the fun without the cost. I respect that. Hangxiety is real, but can you really dance for hours on just water? Water, juice, ceremonial cacao, and purely the energy of the music. And here's where our key word comes in. People think they need a buzz to have fun. There it is, buzz. Yes, in this context, a buzz means that slight, pleasant intoxication you get from a drink. The golden zone before you start texting your ex. Exactly. But Gen Z is saying we don't need that buzz. We can get a natural high. In fact, some of these parties start at 6 a.m. 6 a.m.? Emily, no. Yes, before work. Who are these people? I'm a zombie at 6 a.m. I can barely find my socks, let alone dance to techno. They're called Morning Gloryville or Daybreaker. You go, you dance, you do yoga, you drink a smoothie, and then you go to the office feeling energized. Go to the office sweating glitter. Well, maybe a shower needed, but the idea is connection. Alcohol can sometimes disconnect you. You get sloppy. Sober raving is about true connection. That's actually really sweet and safe. It is. It's redefining what party means. It doesn't have to mean destruction. It can mean celebration. I might try it. Once. If there's a lot of coffee involved. Maybe we should go together. 6 a.m. tomorrow? 10 a.m. Baby steps. Deal. So today we traveled from the launch pad to the moon, hugged some emotional support vegetables, and danced at a sober rave. We really did travel today. I feel smarter and healthier. And cuter. You are always cute, Lisa. Now let's recap our key word. Buzz. We learned it means a slight intoxication, but today we learned we don't need it to have fun. Exactly. You can get a natural buzz from life. Or a coffee. Coffee works too. It sure does. Listeners, we hope you got a good buzz from our chat today. If you did, please create some buzz for us. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. And let us know in the comments, what is your emotional support item? Do you have a Jellycat or maybe a real cat? Tell us. See you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye.